Recording in progress.
All right. I will call the meeting to order at, all right, 6:07. Hello. So it is my pleasure to introduce the students of Ortega Elementary School. Today we have fourth grader Oscar James and fifth grader Demetrios Paras and Amelia Berry, who will lead us in the flag salute and read the land acknowledgement. The students and staff members, Julia Hall and Rachel Romo, will share information about Ortega's recent Global Village celebration. So welcome. Let's see, it looks like Oscar is going to be helping us with the flag salute. Okay.
Please stay. Right here, over. Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, now the land acknowledgement.
The Pacifica School District. The Pacifica School District acknowledges that we gather on the unceded ancestral homelands of the Wallachet Ohlone people. As guests, we humbly extend our gratitude to the Wallachet Ohlone elders and community. We recognize that we benefit from living and working on our traditional homeland, and we affirm our civil rights as free peoples. As the original spirit of the land, the Wallachet Ohlone understands the interconnectedness of all things and the importance of maintaining harmony with nature. Likewise, the Pacifica School District commits to teaching our school community how to be responsible stewards of excellence. Hi.
Oh, would you like
Thank you.
I'm Rachel Romo, and tonight we're going to highlight our first Global Village celebration hosted by our PTO. Our PTO Vice President, Adriana Antonio, planned, organized, and led this amazing event. She invited families to come and decorate a table to represent their culture, and each host family decorated the table, but also provided us a dish. They listed their ingredients. They submitted interesting facts. We printed all of that out, and there was lots of fun tables and things to try. To prepare for this event, we sent home some prompts for families to discuss with their students about their culture, and we encouraged students to decorate multicultural paper dolls. Many students participated in both of these activities, and we appreciate the support. We have some dolls to share.
This is a doll. It is an island off. Is it the coast of Athens? It's in Greece. It is a small island. This is it's all kind of buildings. This student, she had to give us quarters, so she did a Mexican top and an Italian. Yes. This is it's like an English doll, and it's invisible, and it has a Google badge and a kit, and it is in ink.
Thank you. We also had passports that students got to keep. We had little stickers for every country. So even if a student wasn't interested in trying a new cultural dish, they were still encouraged to stop by that table, get a sticker, and learn more about the table. Some of our fifth graders in Miss Voisard's group also learned about longitude and latitude, and they made maps. You can come to Ortega and see, we have a great bulletin board with the maps. We also talk about all of the winter celebrations from cultures around the world, and we have our little multicultural dolls there. I would like to invite our fabulous librarian, Miss Julia Hall, to talk about her experience in hosting the Norway table.
I don't think the slides got played. So we could,
So this is our introduction slide, and then you can flip one more to our host tables.
We gotta just shut down.
technology's fun.
So the next slide will be the list of our host tables.
Teams have had those tables up, but it's not.
Yeah, somebody else is sharing this screen.
Well, that's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. We're just gonna move on. All right. Well, that my picture will be there once we get it up. It'll be there. Hello, my name is Julia Hall. I am the library media technician at Ortega. I participated in our school's global village by representing the country of Norway. I served Norwegian meatballs, not to be confused with its famous cousin, the Swedish meatball. I had items of my heritage out for all to observe, including a display of animals that are found in the Arctic Circle. And then I had to chase after the kids to get my animals back. They were little toys, you know. I wore this special pin called the Solja. It's a Norway's traditional silver jewelry. Its dangling spoons once were thought to reflect evil away from the wearer, protecting one from trolls and other dangers. Leading up to the Global Village event, I read a few multicultural books about all the different types of food and had so many wonderful conversations with the students about their favorite food and things about their culture. It was a fantastic week. We really had a great time in the library. Last week, to help build upon that theme of Global Village, I read to each class a book titled All Are Welcome by Alexandria Penfold, which tied into Inclusive Schools Week, which we held last week. The book shows the school in the story having their own global village celebration and showcases that we are a community. During the event of Global Village, I actually had a parent come up to me and say that he was very surprised by the amount of diversity being represented. Well, knowing our student population and the many discussions we've had about representation, diversity, and being an inclusive community, I wasn't surprised at all. My reply to this parent is, this is what a school is. It is supposed to be a place where everyone is welcome. At Ortega, this theme of being a global village is not something that is a one and done. It's something that is promoted throughout the entire school year through our school-wide spirit days, our pause assemblies, and our special events such as Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day, our tree planting for Arbor Day, and our color walk and roll, which takes its inspiration from Diwali to even the books that are read in the library. Out of the 17 books read this year so far, 8 have been multicultural or represented a specific diverse population. Thank you, and I can't wait to see what's in store for 2024 at Ortega.
Thank you. I am Dimitri, a fifth grader at Ortega. The global celebration was really nice. The community got together and we all had fun trying out everyone else's food and listening to their table stories. We had a great time. We got to bring passports everywhere and we got stickers from each table. It was really nice for the younger kids. My favorite dishes were the horchata from Mexico and the tzatziki my mom made for the Cyprus table. The event really helped everyone get to know each other. The music from all the different countries was amazing because I like music. I also recapped and we listened to one of the songs I danced. Hi, I'm Oski, a fourth grader at Ortega. I love all the decorations at the global village. When the night family got to try all the food. My favorite food was the blackberries. From the former tribe of Nebraska and Hi, I'm Amelia. In the Global Village celebration school because I was able to learn about all the different culture, heritage, and see and seeing the decorations from the cultures. My favorite dishes were the Norwegian meatballs, South Korean pork something, and the lumpia from the Philippines.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for letting us share.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Ortega, and thanks parents for bringing them here this evening. All right. So, Barbara, would you please take the roll call?
Yes, trustee Bernal. Here. Trustee McKean.
Here.
Trustee Doggett. Here. Trustee Bell.
Here.
And trustee Doggett.
All right. Let's see, the district records the audio portion of the meetings. All recordings are kept in the superintendent's office for 30 days and are available during that time period for inspection by members of the public on district equipment without charge. In-person speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please complete a request card with your name, address, and the item number and submit it to the board president or superintendent. Well, it's me tonight. You will be called to address the board and may speak for up to 3 minutes. Virtual speakers wishing to address the board on agenda or non-agenda items, please submit your first and last name and agenda item you wish to speak on in the Q&A area of the webinar. Please do not submit comments or questions in the Q&A area. You'll be called to address the board. Your microphone will be unmuted and you may speak for up to 3 minutes. Please note, the public is welcome to provide comment to the board. Remarks are limited to 3 minutes unless extended or limited by the vote of the board. A maximum of 20 minutes unless extended by the board is allocated for each subject discussion. The Brown Act open meeting regulations under which the board must operate do not allow board members to comment on non-agenda items or information you may bring up that are not on the agenda. Additionally, no action can be taken. However, the board may give direction to staff following a comment. All right, the first action item is, are there any questions regarding the agenda? So approval of agenda. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And it's Barbara.
All those in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, so report out on closed session topics. The board met in closed session to discuss the closed session items. Conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, no action was taken. Public employee discipline / dismissal / release, no action was taken. Conference with labor negotiators regarding CSCA, no action was taken. Conference with labor negotiators regarding Laguna Salada Educational Association, no action was taken. And conference with labor negotiators regarding Laguna Salada Management Association, no action was taken. All right, so now on to the reorganization. Yes, Barbara.
Dr. Williams is unable to get into the meeting.
Okay,
So.
okay, all right then. I don't know if any of you remember, but last year, the superintendent also unfortunately got sick before this. And so here I am, year 2 in a row, trying to wing it on this reorganization meeting. So here we go. So first is the election of 2024 officers. This is going to be the president, vice president, clerk, vice clerk, and appointment of the secretary of the board. We will now take nominations for the board president. I will nominate Laverne Villalobos as the new for president. Would anyone like to second that?
I'll second.
Okay. Okay, there is a second. And do we
All
have,
in favor?
okay,
And it's 4-0.
all right. Okay, I will now take nominations for vice president. Would someone like to nominate?
I'll nominate trustee Pacifica,
All right,
vice president.
I'll second.
okay.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Excuse me. Next is we'll now not take nominations for clerk.
I will nominate trustee Bell.
Okay.
I'll second.
Second. Okay, Barbara. Okay,
Motion passes 4-0.
all right, and now nominations for vice clerk.
I'll nominate Kai Doggett.
All right, and I'll second that.
All in favor, please raise your hand.
Okay, and now we will now take action to appoint Dr. Darnice Williams, Superintendent, as Secretary to the Board. Do I have a motion to approve that appointment of Dr. Darnice Williams, Superintendent, as Secretary of the Board?
Make a motion to approve that.
Okay, and a second?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, so normally this is where we would all move around, but Trustee Villalobos is enjoying her 32nd wedding anniversary today. And so I agreed to go ahead and finish out the meeting, and then I will be done with my presidency life. Right. Okay, yes, we have one speaker on this item, which is Mike O'Neill.
Hello, school board. How you doing? It's cold winter nights, you know. I was here I'm here as a representative for Ray Mueller, Supervisor District 3. And Ray just wants to make the effort for the school districts, knowing how tough it is to be on a school board in today's world, given all the politics and demonstrations and everything else. But he wants to acknowledge the work that school boards do, and acknowledge the work that Linda did as president of the Pacifica School Board. I know I've had some interactions with Linda over the years, and she's always been a big supporter of the Pacifica School District and the Pacifica School Board, and always looked for the best in everybody and every district. So I've got to put on my glasses, because the only thing that's really big on this thing is your name, okay? So, for her service to the Pacifica School District as board president in 2023 and dedication to improving the quality of education and experiences for all students, families, staff, and educators in the school district, the Board of Supervisors hereby extends its gratitude and best wishes for continued service on the Pacifica School District Board of Trustees. And I'm sure he wishes Laverne Villalobos the best as president in the 2024 coming year. So
Thank you.
thank you. So
Photo shot.
my boss, you want me to want to open that like a big check?
Yeah. Where's the check?
All right.
All right, thank you, Mike. Well, thank you very much. I'll have comments in a minute, so. All right, so. Moving on, our next action item will be resolution 2023-12-13-8, delegation of authority. Is there someone going to speak to this? Okay, yes, please. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Board of Trustees.
Yes.
So this is a routine item that we bring to the board every year during the reorganization. And this is a delegation of authority to the superintendent, just so that the superintendent continue the operations of the business. For example, authority to accept resignations, retirements, and hirings, approval of the warrants, approval of district orders, et cetera. So this is authorizing the superintendent to act on behalf of the Board of Trustees to continue the operations of the school district. Any questions?
Questions? All right, do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-12-13-8?
Motion to approve.
Okay, and do we have a second?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, next is the approval of resolution 2023-23-13-B, authorized signatures. Again, Josie.
Thank you. Again, it's a routine item. Every year, we ask the board to authorize the signers on behalf of the district. And the authorized signers are usually the superintendent and the cabinet members. And this allows us to be able to sign on contracts on behalf of the Board of Trustees. And again, to continue the operations of the district. All of these things are then brought before the board in public session during board meetings.
All right. Okay, are there any questions regarding that item? Do I have a motion to approve resolution 2023-12-13-B?
I'll make a motion to approve.
And do I have a second?
I'll second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, next is the approval of the 2024-2025 school year regular board meeting calendar. Are there any questions regarding this item? I think we've seen it on our.
Yeah.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the 2024-2025 regular board meeting calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right.
I missed the first one.
Next is going to be the approval of the this is the board, 2024-2025 board governance calendar. Are there any questions regarding this item? Could you have a motion to approve the 2024-2025 governance calendar?
Almost triggered.
Okay, do I have a second?
I will second.
Okay,
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
all right. The next is the board of trustees committee assignments. Lost my paper. Oh, thank you. All right, so has everyone had a chance to look through this? So I think what I'll do is I'll just go down item by item and we'll just say whether we want to keep it or if someone, if we need to have more discussion, we can do that. All right, so the first thing is the strategic plan and local control accountability plan. Last year, trustee Doggett and myself were on that committee.
I'm just gonna say, I don't want to keep that here from the dates. I know this upcoming next 2 months are gonna be hectic.
Okay. All right, I'd like to stay on that one. Actually, this is the LCAP one. Would anybody else like to join that one or?
I would like to join that one.
Okay. Okay, next is the audit review. Last year, trustee Patel had that honor of doing the audit review.
I would like to leave that on.
You'd like to leave that honor? Okay. Would someone else like to take it on?
Love it.
That's probably her term. Well, I'll go ahead and take it. I'll go ahead. That would just be mean to Vern. Okay. All right. Next is a Pacifica Education Foundation.
I missed the gala last year. I got sick, so.
Okay. Would anybody else like to do that?
Do you want to do that?
Okay.
Yeah, somebody else can do it. I missed it.
I went last
Okay.
year, so we were covered.
Yeah.
Okay, trustee Patel. Next is the CPAC, so Special Education Parent Advisory Committee. Trustee Berdal has been doing that. My name's there as a backup, but
I'd like to stay on it, but
Okay.
if it's more than one person, that was welcome to come. If someone else is interested, but since I'm working as a SPIA, I enjoy being part of this group.
right. Would anyone else like to join? I think I'm going to take myself off this time. Well, I think I'm going to maybe.
I don't think we have to have two. It just
Okay.
depends, yeah.
Okay. Right, next is the Superintendent's Advisory Committee. This is the Facilities Master Planning.
I can stay if nobody else wants to do that.
Okay,
I can leave that one if someone else wants it.
okay. So we'll leave Doggett on, Berdal off. Anyone else? Okay, we'll leave it as that then. Workforce housing,
I'm gonna stay on that and see it through.
yeah, I think Berdal and Rokini, we'd like to stay on that just to finish it up. All right. Bond Oversight Committee. I'd like to take myself off of that. We got myself and Patel on that one.
Looks like there's not a 2024. Like it says not.
No.
Oh, not absent.
Yeah.
Okay, then never mind on that one. Parcel Tax Oversight Committee. Laverne was doing that. Should we just leave her there?
Makes a lot of sense.
Okay. Pacifica Collaborative. Elizabeth.
I enjoy attending, but other
Right.
people can attend too.
Well, I'll try to make one of the meetings this year. And the joint articulation meeting, we're still sort of working on that. But myself and Villalobos are on it. I think probably Vern would like to do that again. Yeah, well, yeah. I'm sure she doesn't mind. Let's see. I wouldn't mind staying that on with that one unless somebody else would like to.
I did it the year before, so I'm fine.
Okay. All right. Then the San Mateo County School Board Association.
Anybody else wants it?
I'll do it.
Okay, Patel. All right, and finally, governing board representative to the county committee on school district organization.
Now they mean November 2024,
Mm-hmm.
not 2023.
All right,
Yeah, I can stay there.
okay. All right, are there any questions or does anyone want to change or thoughts on that? Yes.
I just want to be clear, I don't know the bond oversight committee, I think they're gonna meet this year, I think you said that, so I think somebody does need to reassign you with that.
Okay,
There might be
why there's an NA.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the bond oversight committee. I took myself off that one, but Patel was on it. Does anyone else, do you want to stay on it or no? Okay, anyone else? Then ask Laverne.
If I'm available that night, I could go, but if it's just the one meeting.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the same night as parcel tax, so we're going to be here.
Oh, I see. Okay, so let's put Berdal then.
I don't have my calendar in front of me, but I'll let you know if I can.
Okay. Okay. And are there any questions regarding the proposed committee assignments? And do I have a motion to approve the proposed committee assignments for 2024? Okay. Motion and second.
All in favor, raise your hand, motion passes.
Right, on to the consent agenda. Are there any questions regarding the consent agenda? Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent.
Do I have a second?
One second.
All in favor, please raise your hands, motion passes 4-0.
Okay, so, oh, we still have one more. Approval of instructional policy updates.
That's part of the consent agenda.
Part of consent agenda.
Oh, part of consent agenda. Okay, sorry, I jumped ahead of myself.
If I didn't work it, then.
Okay,
Yeah, can't.
all right, so superintendent recognition. She's not here tonight, but I will get the honor to do it myself. Okay, so this is I'll do it from up here.
Brennan.
Yeah, do you want to go ahead and do it?
Sure.
All right, great. Go ahead.
Loretta Brennan is a parent volunteer who's been supporting the Ortega community since 2017. Come on over, Lorinda. In 2017, her oldest child, Elizabeth, entered kindergarten at Ortega. She is a dependable volunteer. She spearheaded our garden and art classes, and she regularly volunteers twice a week. The Ortega staff got to know Lorinda when she had them sign up for massages during staff appreciation. During lockdown, Lorinda created science projects for the entire third grade. For the last 2 years, she's been a part of our 4th and 5th grade PE program. Every Monday and Tuesday, she leads the yoga or Pilates movement station where students learn basic yoga poses. She interacts with all of our upper grade students each week and is a positive influence by encouraging healthy habits. Thank you, Ryan.
Get a picture real quick. Hey, thank you.
Good job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Right now. He will have no signature for you.
Oh.
But she's not here yet.
Okay.
So to Barbara.
Do you want me to leave it here? So I can have it on off to it.
Yes, and I don't want it, but I don't want to take back your. Okay, thank you so much.
Well, thank you so much. All right. On to communications. Thank you, everybody. All right, thank you very much. All right, so on to communications. Our first speaking person is from LSCA, Megan.
Our first speaking person, yes.
I
Today
can
was
tell I've had a whole year talking up here. Can't speak.
Today was another day spent at the table bargaining for compensation for 23-24. We are mindful of the financial circumstances of the district, and our discussions at the table reflect the sensitivity from both parties. However, we expect you to be sensitive to us and our needs as well. In closed session this evening, you heard a report from the district team, and I hope in the few minutes the district team was given, they were able to express to you our ideas and expectations. We had been told in May that we should expect to settle compensation by our November 29th session. Here we are after another full day of negotiations and no agreement. We are hopeful that the district team will reach out to us before we meet again in January. Trustee Villalobos took time to come chat with me last week. I appreciate her time and effort to have a conversation. It's easy. Any of you are welcome to reach out to me or any of our union leaders and have a chat. Thank you to everyone in the community who has donated to our Share the Warmth hat and glove drive. We will have a generous donation to drop off at the Pacifica Community Center next week. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, our next speaker from CSCA.
Hello, my name is Nicole Sayers, and I am the president of CSDA Chapter 128. Tonight, I would like to welcome Umberto Ortiz, Custodial 1 from Valamar School. I'm just going to use her last initials, Nicole, PF. And she told me that was okay because she's a hard last name. And she is a new paraprofessional at Cabrillo. And Chandra Lloyd, a paraprofessional at Ortega School. Sadly, we are recognizing the resignations of Alec Garavito, the network analyst, and Nicole Sims, a paraprofessional at Ortega, but she was picked up as a teacher, so she isn't really leaving. She's still here. I also want to acknowledge the retirement of Simonetta Abayo, our fiscal technician, and my colleague, my CSCA vice president, and my personal friend, Frank T. CSCA wishes both of you a well-deserved rest from the everyday work life and hope you are able to enjoy the holidays somewhat stress-free. The CSCA Above and Beyond Awards for December 2023 go to Nyla Northrup, paraprofessional RSP at Valamar, and Zia Fang, a custodian at Ingrid B. Lacey Middle School. Nyla has been a district employee since 2004. Nyla has served students in RSP at Valamar and Cabrillo schools for many years. Her dedication to our students and district over the years has been greatly appreciated. Zia is a wonderful custodian that always goes above and beyond. She performs her duties with great care. She is an important part of our awesome custodial team at Ingrid B. Lacey Middle School. Chapter 128 is proud of all of our Above and Beyond recipients. Our classified employees are dedicated, hardworking people who care about our students, our schools, and our community. Last Friday, I sat in a meeting with a member who was owed money from the district. We first heard about this back in March. As I sat in the meeting, I began to wonder why it had taken 9 months for the district to agree to meet with us and offer a timesheet to the employees so they could get paid for the hours they had already worked. I wondered if it had been an administration or administrator who was owed this money, would they have waited 9 months for this issue to be resolved? And I know they would not. I and most CSEA members believe that we are treated differently. It is all right for CSEA members to wait longer for things. And it is all right for CSEA members to be spoken to in harsher tones. And it is all right for CSEA members to be disrespected. And it is all right for CSEA members to work in freezing cold, rainy, and windy conditions. It is all right for CSEA members to be moved to a different site and position within 1 day's notice. It is all right to tell CSEA members to stop doing their job and fill in for someone while they're on their lunch break. It is all right to waste CSEA members' time. It is all right to tell a CSEA member to work with asbestos. And it is all right to tell a CSEA member to work with odors and particles that we don't even know if they're harmful or not. And we are treated differently. I know this because I am the main union steward for the district, and I have been to many, many meetings over the years for these very things. I've had to let management know that it is wrong to treat CSEA members this way. Negotiations were on Monday, and we had a long discussion with Karen Resendez of Lozano Smith Law Firm. And at the end, she stated that all the things that we told her made her sad. Well, it makes me sad that as the backbones of the district, our work is not praised and it is not celebrated except by ourselves through our own above and beyond. We'll see how negotiations go. We'll see if PSD supports CSEA and LSEA members for being hard workers that they are. We will see if the district offers us fair wage increases, and it is not all right to offer us the leftover funds after others have taken their share. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. All right, people wishing to address the board? I don't think we have anyone tonight. All right. And correspondence, communicate. Anyone have correspondence they want to report out on? All right, and communications. Start at the end.
I did get to attend my first CSBA conference last week, which was great. It was really interesting. It was huge. I did not expect it to be that big. So very informative. Learned that we don't have as many unique problems as I thought we may have had. Nice to know that other districts are struggling with some of the same things. So it was useful to me. So I'm glad I had the opportunity to attend.
Okay. I also attended the School Board Association conference at the Moscone Center, and I went up there for 4 days in a row. So I attended a lot of the workshops they had, and it's always really informative and very well organized up there. And like you said, a lot of people from all over California. There were several different bond meetings. And then last night, the IBL band concert, I attended that last night, and they did a great job. It's always good to hear them, both the beginning band and the advanced band. And Valvar and Cabrillo, there's a chance for everyone else to go to one. There's one tomorrow night and then next Tuesday night.
Okay. I also attended the CSBA conference, had some negotiation meetings. I had my weekly meeting with Dr. Williams. And then I want to take this opportunity because this will be my last opportunity sitting right here to just sort of reflect on the year and sort of say my thank yous. First of all, this year, I thought the big thing we were going to do is pass workforce housing, which we did. Thank you, City, for helping us with that. But not only did we do that, we retired a superintendent. We hired a superintendent. We spent hours and hours doing interviews and mediating that. We, I think out of all of it, we've become a much stronger board, and I think we are, the understanding of the board of each other and how we work, I think is really grown, and I think it's going to help us and help the district as we move into the next steps. Megan Ellsburn, you've been a formidable opponent all year. I appreciate that. Just remember, you can catch more flies with honey. But we are parents. I know, yes. We are all parents up here. We all, our hearts are into the schools. We are very much know what the teachers, have to say, because we were there for a lot of years listening. We do continue to want to hear, but thank you always for coming here and expressing those needs to us. So also Nicole Sayers, who unfortunately missed, I appreciate your heart in this, and that your commitment to your members is heard every 3 weeks. I really appreciate that also, because it's I know that CSEA does feel unheard at times, and so I thank you for raising their voice. And finally, Barbara, thank you very much. There has been so many things this year that Barbara's had to help me with, and behind the scenes, and just kept me on track and made it look like I just knew what I was doing up here. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. I do look forward to where the district's going. I know we have a lot of growth, and change is not always easy, but I think that in the end, the Pacifica is going to be a lot better for it, and a lot better for the board that I've been able to work with this year. So that's my comments, and I will now move on. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Mhm.
You're not leaving.
No, I'm not leaving, but who knows how long, I may never end up right here again. So we'll see, I'm not going anywhere, but you never know. Okay, information items. So let's go ahead and move on to a first read of the student board policy updates. This is with Mr. Barfield.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees. This is our first reading for student policy updates in the 5000 series. We realized just before the meeting started that the red lined versions of the policies are not attached to the agenda. So our apologies about that. We do have the summaries attached, and we can review the summaries now, and then I'll provide you with the red line version. They come for approval in January. So if that's okay, I'll just cover the summaries now, provide you with the red line version, and you'll approve, or you'll consider in January.
All right, thank you.
There's a board policy about interdistrict attendance, and this reflects a new law that allows districts to enter into agreements with other districts, instructional agreements for districts that may have been affected by teacher shortages, cancellations, or other disruptions. We have a board policy update for mental health. This includes with reflecting new guidance on the importance of the social connection and the impact of social media on students' health and well-being. It also updates some best practices for addressing students' mental health in the schools. We have a school health services board policy update, which talks about, it's more of a philosophical paragraph. That's the update about the school district's unique position to provide health equity to our students, and also allows us to utilize telehealth as a method to do that. Another administrative regulation for school health services. It talks about behavioral health, more about telehealth in that update, which you will receive. We have parent guardian notification updates that were included. Pertinent there is we have some updates on how students or individuals with disabilities can access and effectively participate in Medi-Cal programs. There are additional parent guardian notifications that have been updated. And then we have two last ones. There's two on childcare and development. There's a board policy and administrative regulation. The board policy talks about grant funding for the purposes of increasing access to inclusive early care and education programs. It also specifies the indicators for the implementation of a quality quality childcare and development program. And the administrative regulation kind of goes into more detail on that. It talks about specific enrollment procedures for students residing in houses where English is not the first language. Also talks about requirements for childcare centers to disclose immunization information to district's authorized representatives. So again, we will provide you with those redlined updates right after the meeting, and I can answer any questions that you might have.
Great. Are there any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next is going to be first read board policy 1130, 3000s and 7140.
Thank you, Trustee Bocchini. So as John mentioned, the California School Board Association does provide updates to our board policies quarterly. And so tonight I'm presenting to you the first reading for the September 2023 policy updates. And they're mainly updates due to new laws. So CSB reviews the laws and then they provide us updates. So I do have a summary sheet, and maybe I'll just go through a couple of the highlighted ones. For example, the let's see which one is the new law, is the board policy 1330, use of school facilities. There's a new law that encourages districts to create facility use application and agreement to reflect, which allows use by law enforcement, public agencies, nonprofit or organizations for bicycle, scooter, electric bicycle, motorized bicycle, or motorized scooter safety instruction for all students. Then there's also updates on the bid limits for the regulation 3311. They update the bid limits every year by the CPI, and they also are specifying skilled workforce requirements for bids and for lease back, design build, and alternative bids. Let's see, what's another one to highlight? The board policy 3312 was updated to reflect new laws, SB 1439 and SB 34, regarding conflict of interest from campaign contributions and bribery of public officials. Requires a statement that the governing board members and district employees comply with the district's policy of conflict of interest. Then there was a food service update, which is interesting. Also, we're working on for the recovery of food, Administrative Regulation 3551, where districts with an on-site food facility should try to recover the maximum amount of edible food and donate it to a local food recovery organization. Records related to edible food recovery that we must keep relate to contact information, types of food, frequency. So we're working on those regulations with our child nutrition department, trying to recover as much food. We do have our share table, but now we need to look at how can we recover the food and donate it to a local nonprofit. So that's a summary. There's several policies here. I'm happy to answer any questions that the Board of Trustees might have. Any discussion or changes, we could then bring it forward for you to approve in a future board meeting.
Any questions? No. Okay, no questions. Thank you. All right. Next, the first reading of personnel board policy updates. Dr. Torres.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. It is recommended that the Board of Trustees review and discuss the proposed updates to the board policies and administrative regulations during the first reading. There's only two. There's an employee compensation policy update, and there's a layoff rehire regulation update. For employee compensation, the policy is updated to add that for districts participating in the Classified School Employee Summer Assistance Program, eligible classified employees may elect to have up to 10% of the employee's monthly salary withheld and paid out during the summer recess in either one or two payments, and reflects new law, AB 185, 2022, which adds specific repayment procedures when a district has made a wage overpayment to a district employee. We do participate in the Classified School Employee Summer Assistance Program, so this does apply to our school district. For the regulation on layoff rehire, the regulation updates to reflect the new law SB 913 2022, which provides for districts with an average daily attendance of less than 250,000 the definition of length of service for the purpose of the order of layoff and determination of seniority in the employee's hours and paid status. Regulation also updated to reflect new law AB 185 2022, which authorizes a classified employee to be represented by an attorney or non-attorney representative of the exclusive representative of the district's classified employees at a hearing requested by an employee as part of layoff proceedings. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Questions? All right, thank you. All right, so next is the CSBA Delegate Assembly nomination. So in Region 5B, San Mateo, 3 CSBA delegate terms end in 2024. There should be an attached roster. I'm not seeing it actually.
It's there.
Is it?
So Region 5B. So you're not actually nominating, this is if you want to nominate somebody.
Okay. Okay, yeah, so nominations to CSBA Delegate Assembly are due Sunday, January 7th, 2024, and instructions for nomination process are included in the attached CSBA President's Call for Nominations memo. So if anyone would like to run, I guess, to be a CSBA delegate right now?
No, thank you.
No? Okay.
I'll vote for Kalina.
Okay. Kalina, yeah. All right, then. So then no decision made in there. So thank you. We are going to nominate right now. Okay, next will be action items. First is the certification of first interim report for 2023-2024.
Thank you,
Peters,
Trustee
Mrs. Peters.
Okay, thank you, Stan, for bringing the presentation up. So tonight I have the 2023-24 first interim report. You can go ahead and move forward, Stan. The first page is our, a table of contents of what we're presenting tonight. And then if you could move on to the third page, we're going to remind you of the district's goals.
Else showing the presentation, because Stan's not.
Someone's blocking me.
It says you are viewing Stan's screen on mine.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It says you're viewing your screen.
Well,
Mine, but it's not share.
so yeah, it is being.
So let me share. I'll share. It's not showing. Okay. You can pause. I'm gonna take over your screen. So
We just want to review the Pacifica School District's goals, ACE. Go ahead and you can move forward to ACE. Thank you, Will. Attendance, academics, community engagement, and embracing inclusivity and diversity. Go ahead and move forward.
presentation, easier. Not too quick, huh? There you go.
Okay, just kind of a review for you of the annual state budget cycle. It shows you all the different marking points for the state budget, and we're currently at the first interim. In December, our audit report will be completed and submitted to the state on December 15th and reviewed by the board in January, where we'll hear the governor's January proposal. So that will be the next item after first interim. Go ahead and move forward, please. Just a reminder, the objective of the first interim is to demonstrate the actual spending as of October 31st. And then we need to project what our spending is going to be through June 30th. And it does contain detailed budget and multi-year projections. That all of those forms are attached for the public and the board's review. Go ahead and go forward. So budget certifications, we kind of want to review what is a budget certification. So the state says if you can meet your financial obligations for the current fiscal year and 2 fiscal years, you have a positive status. Qualified means you may not be able to meet the financial obligations for the current fiscal year or the 2 subsequent fiscal years. And negative is when you are unable to meet your financial obligations for the current fiscal year and 2 subsequent fiscal years. And go ahead and go forward. Want to review with you the state COLA. Pacifica School District is heavily reliant on state funding. You will see when we look at our revenues, the state COLA for this current year is 8.22%. We are using for next year 3.94% because that is what the governor projected in his June budget package. And then for 25, 26, 3.29%. Unfortunately, you have heard the updates from CSBA and school services and the legislative analyst office. The COLA has been trending down over the last 2 months. And the most recent information we have is the COLA could be as low as 1% for next year. So that's going to have a big impact on Pacifica School District. And I will show you in a later slide how that impacts our multi-year. Please go forward. So again, this is a review of community funding versus state funding. Pacifica School District is dependent on state funding, which means we get a dollar amount per student who attends school every day. And then you have some school districts that are community funded. They have more property taxes than what that dollar amount per student is. And so they receive more funding. If you go to the next slide, there's a nice picture of the difference between a state funded school district and community funded. So Pacifica School District would be the first bucket where we get a dollar amount per student and our property taxes do not exceed that amount. We get a property tax amount and then we get the difference of our allocation from the state. In a community funded school district, their property taxes far exceed the amount per student that the state allocates. And so those districts are called community funded and they get to keep those excess property taxes. They were formerly called basic aid. So this is a good pie chart to show you of our revenues. Almost all of our revenues, 83% of our revenues are coming from LCFF funds. That's the amount of money we generate when the students attend school. We receive very little federal funding. It's called Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. And state funding is your lottery funds, very little lottery, very little state funding in comparison to our revenues. And then the local revenue, 1.2 million of that is the parcel tax, and then Pacifica Education Foundation, and then some small local grants that the schools get from the band program and little grants that they receive. And then when you look at our expenditure pie chart, what I'd like to talk about here is the breakdown of our expenditures between certificated, classified, and our benefits. There has been a shift. It used to be a larger amount of our expenditures were on employee costs, and the shift has really gone into services and operations. It's now 24% of our budget. But this is just a good picture of where the district's funding. It's really in personnel and operations. And then go ahead and move forward. One of the things I wanted to share with you is when we adopted the budget in June is the first column, and then where we are in first interim. So each category kind of gives you an explanation of the differences from June until now. And I'll just go over some of the larger increases. Federal revenue is higher because we didn't spend some of the federal funds last year. They were carried over into this school year. The state funding is higher because of the ELOP and the learning recovery. We had budgeted a lower amount for the arts, music, and discretionary because the governor had said he was cutting some of those funds and it wasn't cut as much as we thought. And then the lottery came in higher than budgeted. And also we received funding for the classified summer assistance program. The state matched 100% of the money that the classified employees put away. The state did match that. And so we recognized that in our first interim report. Other local revenue has a small increase. It's really the site, the band and the site funds that they carry over. They're not the regular site funds. They're like little mini grant accounts when the sites raise funds for certain purposes. So the total revenue went up $2 million. You can go ahead and go to expenditures. So here's a difference of where our expenditures were from the adopted to now. And with the salaries and benefits, it's really always the actual employees that are in there, hired. as of October 31st, which is oftentimes different than what we had when we adopted the budget in May and June. So this reflects the best information we have at this time. It does reflect increases in employee benefits, because we didn't know the health care costs were going to go up by 11% back then. There's also increases in books and supplies, and we've listed some of the reasons why the books and supplies went up. One of it is we now have a higher budget for arts, music, and discretionary funds. We have a grant for a strong workforce program. Lottery went up, and again, site mini grants went up. And then sometimes there's just shifts in the budget categories between books and supplies and operations. So services and other also went up. And some of the increases we are now spending $40,000 on homeless transportation. We have an increase in teacher support, some increases in instructional and technology licenses. And then there's kind of a shift in special ed between some of the other categories and this category for an increase of 250. We do have Title II, we added leadership associates, and then some of the bond and legal and communications categories went up as well. That went up about 160,000. And operations is your PG&E and your water and those types of things. Your insurance, that went up as well. So those are the total expenditures. If you can go ahead and go forward. This is a multi-year projection, a very summarized multi-year projection that takes the total revenues and expenditures for this year. And then we apply the COLA that's in the governor's state budget of 3.94% and the next year. And you can see that the district is deficit spending. We have been having deficit spending. It's a structural deficit. The good thing is we still have, a fairly well reserve. In this current year, we have 11%, and then it trends down with the deficit spending. The reserve goes down to 7%. This is the multi-year we're presenting tonight and asking the board to certify tonight with our first interim. But I also want to share with you, based on some of the things that have changed, where we will be. So if you can go to the next slide, we're looking at the economic outlook. The legislative analyst did state, and I think you've heard this, the tax collections for 2022 were behind because people received extensions on filing their taxes. So when Governor Newsom adopted his budget, he really didn't know what the taxes were going to be in June. So they were much lower, which would equal a lower guarantee for school districts for that time period. So when he did do his 8.22% COLA, at that time, he did say he was using some one-time funds to fund that COLA. Now it's going to be even more challenging for him because his tax receipts are lower than what he thought with the 8.22% COLA for this year. So how is that going to impact next year for 24-25? It could mean a much lower COLA, which they're saying could be 1%. And how will he resolve this? We're not sure at this time. We'll find out in January. He has a rainy day fund at the state level. We just don't know right now. So if you go to the next page, what we want to do is demonstrate to you what would happen if the governor adopts a lower COLA in January. So if you put 1%, and that's the middle column, in that you can see how that affects our multi-year and how the deficit spending does increase substantially and how our reserve goes down substantially. So with a 1% COLA, we would be tinkering on the brink of a positive status versus a qualified status, because only having 3% reserve is the very, very minimum that you can have in the third year to file a positive budget status. So go ahead and move forward. This is really a summary of the other district funds for the Board of Trustees to see. They're all restricted funds, aside from the general fund being unrestricted. Our Child Nutrition Fund is a restricted federal fund, and we do have a surplus in that fund. We operated at a surplus during COVID because we fed all of the students' meals. We got federal funding, we received state funding. We continue to receive funding to feed all of the students. Right now, we have a little bit too much of a surplus, so we are working on a budget spending plan to make sure that we spend these funds, within the next 2 years, because they are federal funds. And some of the funds are infrastructure, so we will be upgrading some of the kitchens and using those infrastructure funds for that. Deferred maintenance fund is really an old fund that the state established that really doesn't exist from the state's level. We've kept the fund open. It was always used for repairs and maintenance of facilities. The state used to fund us, about $140,000 a year, and the district was required to match. There's no longer any state funding for deferred maintenance. So we've been funding about $200,000 a year to fix all of the issues we've had. As you know, there's been plumbing leaks and gas leaks and some repairs to roofing and flooring. The special reserve fund is a special reserve at the board's discretion where you can set money aside from the general fund, which cannot be spent. And right now that is at a 1.96% reserve, which I did add into the multi-year, so it is counted. But the only way we could spend those funds if the board approved transferring it to the general fund. Retiree benefits. This is also a restricted fund where we have set aside funds to pay our retiree benefits because our school district does pay for employees who retire with a certain amount of service. It's 10 years. We pay for their health and dental benefits for 10 years after they retire. And then in addition to that, there's something called a lifetime benefit. So after their 10 years expires, there's a CalPERS administrative fee that we are required to pay because we're part of CalPERS. And we pay for 182 people who are past their 10 years. We pay those lifetime benefits. Currently, it's about $1,600 a year. And then the building fund, as you know, we've talked a lot about that, and Cece has done some really good presentations. That is all restricted bond funds, and we are using it to complete the facility master plan projects. And then capital facilities fund is a restricted fund when there's construction in Pacifica. They file a permit with the city, and then there's a fee charged, and that fee is split between the Jefferson Union School District and Pacifica. And those funds are restricted to expansion where there's enrollment growth or a need to expand. And we had a balance in that fund over the last few years, but we were able to use those funds with the bond funds to pay for some of the expansion at the Valley Mar D Wing. And so that fund will be mostly expended at the end of this year. And then the capital outlay fund, that is where we deposited the sale of site funds when we sold a property. And we kind of put those funds aside to assist with the workforce housing pre-development. And now we're also depositing the facility use fees. It hasn't really been a lot, but in January, when our fees go up, we might be able to deposit more funds into the special reserve fund. So go ahead and go forward. So again, let's just review the budget certifications. Currently, we are looking at a positive certification. You can move forward, Stan. So we want to file a positive certification. We're self-certifying as positive because we will be able to meet our financial obligations for the current year and 2 subsequent years with the current projections from the governor, which is the higher COLA in 24-25. Go ahead and go forward. This is just a kind of a reminder what impacts our multi-year. It's, state and federal funding is insufficient to cover student needs. There's a big gap in the funds that we receive from the federal government and the state government in being able to manage the needs of the students. And then we have the impact of declining enrollment. We're using a 3-year rolling average for our attendance right now, but if we continue to decline, our funding continues to decline. And of course, there's inflation, the 11% increase in health costs. Our retirement costs for STRS and PERS have gone up over the years because we pay a portion of each employee's retirement package, and then the employee also pays a portion. Well, for CalPERS, it's currently in the 25 to 26% range. It's projected to increase to 30% of a classified person's salary in 2028 when you look at their chart. So that's a big increase, paying that amount into a retirement system. And then, of course, we have had several insurance claims over the last few years with some water intrusion and other facility issues. So we have to be able to we can't anticipate those things, but it is a cost to the district. And then other unanticipated costs are just possible claims against the district or other, issues that arise. So you can go ahead and go forward. So next steps, as you know, we're looking at employee compensation for 2023-24. We have not given a general salary increase to our employees yet, and the year started in July. But they did receive 11% increase in their health benefit costs. And so now we're working with both bargaining groups to look at a salary increase going forward. There also is the desire to maintain a 6% reserve to have that, cushion for those uncertainties. And then we're looking at budget planning. As soon as we finish, this year, we're going to be budget planning for 24-25, starting in January. We need to look at ways where we can increase some of our revenues. I know, we're looking at a bond for facilities, and that's really going to help because right now the general fund is absorbing a lot of those repairs. A possible parcel tax would also help the general fund. And then we would need to look at some budget savings and reductions when we come to the board in the spring. We're going to be looking at some possible reductions. So go ahead and go forward. So that's pretty much it for the presentation. I do want to point out that there is a Form CI that the board has. It shows the different criteria for school districts that the state has set forth, and it has some fiscal indicators that you can look at. And like, for example, some of the fiscal indicators would be, does your district provide uncapped health benefits? Well, that's a fiscal indicator. So there is that 3-page summary in the beginning of your packet that is I think very valuable to look at and review as we go forward. And that's it for the presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions, comments from the board.
Any questions? Trustee Patel?
So just a couple of questions. The first question is, given the news about the $68 billion budget deficit in the state, and I think as of 6-7 hours ago, spending was frozen at the state level, how do you foresee that impacting, if at all, the 24-25 revenues?
So I think it's going to have a big impact on the 24-25 revenues for our school district because we are so dependent on what's called the LCFF funding from the state level. I think that the COLA is going to be close to 1%, and we're filing a report based on a 3.94% COLA. The other thing that we've seen in the past when the state is short on funding, sometimes they defer the money they owe to school districts, and that we have been caught up in that many years ago, and it's a huge cash flow issue for our school district if they don't pay us on time. So that could be another big issue. We really don't receive very much other state funds that they could cut from our budget. It's really the LCFF funding that is at risk.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that because I think as we hear about this in the news, sometimes it feels like, oh, that's the state and we can go on with our business, but obviously that's very deeply connected. And then the other thing I want to mention is I thought this presentation was very well put together, very clear. Josie, so thank you for doing that. It illuminated a lot of things. And then, like you said, in the certification of the interim report, I just wanted to highlight a couple of things. So, it's kind of known on the record. So where the district answered yes. One of them was, do we have contingent liabilities that occurred since the budget adoption that impacted the budget? And the answer is yes, we have higher liabilities there. And then, Josie, you mentioned we have, sorry, I'm going to go. Does the district provide uncapped 100% employer paid health benefits for current or retired employees? And we answered yes to that. And have there been personnel changes that impacted things? And that's also yes. So I think there's a lot of fiscal things that we do in this district in particular that have very deep fiscal ramifications for our ongoing sustainability. And as a board, we are responsible for the fiscal solvency of this district. And so I personally am very concerned with some of those elements and the need to constantly support, our teaching staff and our classified staff, because we want to do that. But all of these things can't happen when we have less money, high liabilities, and requests for, increases. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that, it's kind of like putting your hands in your pocket and I don't know where, what we're going to do going forward. And so I just wanted to acknowledge that. I think it puts us in a very difficult situation going forward.
Yes, thank you.
I just have one clarifying question. You mentioned there was one item, I think maybe it was number 7, Fund 17.
Mhm.
And that's, is that the one you said if we wanted to, we could vote to put that into the general? Which one of those you mentioned there was monies that we could vote to put into the general fund, but
Yeah, so
I
that
just
is
missed-
on slide 17, and that's the Special Reserve Fund, Fund 17, and that is a board designated reserve fund. Currently, there is 812,000, and it's a 1.96% reserve. So for example, if we go into such extreme deficit spending in the next 2 years, we would come to you in our report and ask you to transfer those funds into the general fund. Now, for the multi-year that I presented to you tonight, I did already include those funds in those multi-year analysis.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions? Okay, so with that, do I have a motion to approve the first interim report for 2023-2024?
Make a motion to approve the first interim report for 2023-2024.
And do I have a second?
I'll second. Please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, great. Next will be approval of the resolution 2023-12-13-C, declaring emergency and authorizing construction of facilities.
Thank you, Trustee Brocchini. So tonight we're asking you to declare an emergency and authorize reconstruction of facilities. And what this is at Sunset Ridge, as you know, we've been working on the multipurpose room. And with all the moisture up on the north side of town and really throughout Pacifica, we've had many facility issues because of the moisture. So when they did open up the multipurpose room, they did find dry rot. And so we're in the middle of a project now and we need to get those kids back in the space. And so we're asking you to approve this emergency resolution so that we do not have to go out to bid to prepare this serious dry rot that we have. The Division of State Architect did say that it is unsafe for children to be in the multipurpose room. And so the principal and the food service director have been able to relocate the program temporarily, but we want to get those kids back in the space as soon as possible. So we want to go ahead and get, Cece is already getting the costs from the current contractor, and we don't plan to go out to bid so that we can just fix it right away. And this does come out of the bond funds. It's another unanticipated facility issue that we've encountered.
All right. Any questions on that one?
Just kind of a general statement. I think this is what shows the importance of bond funds to support facilities, especially as we have a lot of aging buildings and sites, and things like this come up and are not surprising. But obviously the LCFF funding does not fund these types of things. And as a district, we need to make sure our kids are safe and our staff are safe. Everyone.
Okay. Any other questions? Are there, let's see, do I have a motion to approve staff to enter into a contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the Pacifica School District Ocean Shore School Building D Addition project?
No, this is.
Oh, sorry.
Resolution declaration.
We're not
declaring an emergency.
Oh,
Authorization.
So it's number B. I got it.
okay, sorry. Okay. Motion to resolution 2020. Do we have a motion to approve resolution 2023-12-13-C? Sorry.
I'll motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right. Next is the Pacifica School District Ocean Shore School Building D Addition project. Is that right?
Thank you. So as part of the facility master plan with the Measure O funds, we have went out to bid for the Ocean Shore School Building D addition. And we do have the list of bidders. You can see that it ranges from almost 2.9 to 2.4 million. Our recommendation tonight is to award the contract to Beals Martin and Associates. We ask the staff to authorize staff to enter into contract with that aforementioned company, and the contract will be funded with Measure O bond funds.
All right. Any questions? Do I have a motion to approve staff to enter into contract with the lowest responsible bidder for the Pacifica School District Ocean Shore School Building D Addition Project. A motion to approve. A second. I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
And the Pacifica School District Calendar, 2024-2025.
Good evening, Board of Trustees. It is recommended that the board approve the school calendar for the 24-25 school year. Collaboratively with our labor partners and with much consideration, we were able to draft a PSD school calendar for 2024-2025 with the common breaks with Jefferson Union High School District. Fall recess, winter recess, President's Week, and spring recess. There was a mistake on the first draft. President's Week was off a week, but we corrected that and attached it. Start and end dates between our school districts differ with Jefferson Union High School District. For school year 24-25, our start date will be Wednesday, August 14th, 2024, and our end date will be Thursday, June 5th, 2025. Our 3 professional development days for the 24-25 school year will be on Monday, August 12th, 2024, Friday, November 1st, 2024, and Monday, April 21st, 2025.
Do I have any questions regarding the calendar? All right. Do you have a motion to approve the Pacifica School District calendar for 2024-2025? Okay, and do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion passes 4-0.
All right, Board of Trustees, Superintendent recap, future agenda items. Or anything anyone would like to last final thoughts? All right, then. With that, adjourn at 7:28 p.m. All right.
Thank you.
I'm done.
Thank you.
Now you can.